The first time I saw him on the monitor, I thought the camera was glitching. A tall figure stood perfectly still at the end of the hospital corridor, just outside the emergency exit. The hallway lights flickered faintly above him, but he didn't move. Not an inch. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting. The timestamp in the corner read 2:47 a.m. I worked the night shift as a security guard in a nearly empty private hospital. After midnight, the place felt like a hollow shell. No visitors. Few patients. Just long corridors, humming lights, and the soft beeping of machines from distant rooms. I checked the other monitors. Nothing unusual. Only that one camera showed the figure. I grabbed my radio. Unit 3 to front desk. Do we have anyone near the east corridor? A sleepy voice replied, negative. All patients accounted for. I looked back at the screen. The figure was closer. I hadn't seen it walk. It was simply nearer to the camera now, standing under the light. Tall. Thin. Wearing what looked like a hospital gown. Its head hung slightly forward, face hidden in shadow. A strange chill crept over me. I rewound the footage 30 seconds. The corridor was empty. I played it forward again. He was there. I stared at the monitor, my mouth going dry. I rewound it again, slower this time. Empty hallway. Empty. Empty. Then suddenly, between two frames, he appeared. No walking. No door opening. Just there. I told myself it had to be a camera issue. Maybe a reflection. Maybe someone had walked in from a blind spot. I grabbed the flashlight and decided to check the corridor in person. The hospital felt colder as I walked. My footsteps echoed too loudly. When I reached the east corridor, it was completely empty. No one. No sound. Just the smell of disinfectant and silence. I walked to the emergency exit. Locked from inside. No sign of anyone. I went back to the security room, my heart beat faster than it should be. I looked at the monitor again. He was standing directly in front of the camera now. So close that I could finally see his face. And that's when I realized something was terribly wrong. He didn't have one. At 1:18 a.m., the factory felt like it had stopped breathing. I was the only technician on the night shift, responsible for monitoring the machinery floors while the rest of the staff worked daytime hours. After midnight, the entire building turned into a maze of humming pipes, echoing footsteps, and distant metallic clanks that never seemed to come from anywhere specific. The freight elevator was the only way to move between levels. Old, slow, and loud. Everyone hated using it alone at night. That night, my supervisor called over the radio. Can you check level 4? Motion sensor triggered near the storage racks. Probably a loose tarp again, I replied, trying to sound calm. I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for level 4. The door slid shut with a heavy thud. As the elevator moved upward, the lights flickered once, then steadied. I stared at the numbers above the door. 2. 3. The elevator stopped. But the display didn't say 4. It said 5. We didn't have a fifth floor. I frowned and pressed the button for 4 again. Nothing happened. The door slowly creaked open. The hallway outside was dim, lit by a single flickering light. It didn't look like any part of the factory I recognized. The walls were unfinished concrete. No machines. No storage. Just a long corridor stretching into darkness. A cold feeling spread through me. I stepped out halfway, looking around. Hello. My voice echoed unnaturally loud. There were no signs, no floor markings, nothing familiar. The air smelled dusty, old. Like a place that hadn't been touched in years. I quickly stepped back inside and pressed the close button. The doors shut, but the elevator didn't move. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps coming from that dark hallway toward the elevator. I froze. They were getting closer. I slammed the door button repeatedly. Come on, come on. The footsteps reached the entrance. Something stopped just outside the elevator doors. I could see its shadow at the bottom gap. Tall. Thin. Unmoving. My chest tightened. I didn't dare breathe. The doors suddenly slid shut on their own, and the elevator jerked downward violently. When it stopped, the display read 4. I stumbled out onto the real factory floor, heart racing, sweat soaking my shirt. I grabbed the radio. Did we ever have a level 5? Silence. Then my supervisor replied slowly, "What are you talking about? This building only has 4 floors." I turned to look back at the elevator. The display above the doors now showed something I hadn't noticed before. There was no button for 5. I worked overnight IT support for a small corporate building that emptied out completely after 10 p.m. My job was simple: sit in the server room, monitor alerts, and answer any emergency calls from the security desk downstairs. Most nights were painfully quiet. At 3:06 a.m., my desk phone rang. That alone was unusual. Nobody ever called this line at that hour. I picked up. IT support. At first, I thought the line was dead. Then I heard breathing. Slow, uneven breathing, like someone trying not to be heard. "Hello?" I said again. A whisper came through. "Can you see me?" I frowned. "Who is this?" No reply. Just breathing. "This line is for internal staff only," I said. "Which department are you calling from?" The whisper returned, slightly clearer this time. "I'm in the office." I leaned back in my chair, confused. "The building is empty. Security checks every floor." "I know," the voice said. Something about the tone made my stomach tighten. It wasn't scared. It wasn't calm. It sounded distant. Like the speaker wasn't fully there. "Which office?" I asked. There was a pause. Then, "Yours." I slowly turned around. The server room was empty. Racks of blinking machines. One chair. One desk. No windows. "Not funny," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I can see you," the whisper continued. "You're looking at the door." I hadn't told them that. My eyes moved toward the closed server room door. My heart started pounding. "This is security?" I asked. "No." The line crackled slightly. Then the voice said something that made my skin go cold. "You shouldn't have answered." The call ended. I sat there frozen, staring at the phone. I told myself it had to be a prank. Someone messing with the internal lines. Maybe a technician who forgot to clock out. I grabbed my radio and called security. "Did anyone go back upstairs?" "Negative," they replied. "Just did a full sweep 10 minutes ago." I looked at the caller ID on the phone. It showed an internal extension number. My extension number. I stared at it, confused. That was impossible. This phone couldn't call itself. I checked the recent call log. The call had originated from my desk line. My hand felt cold on the receiver. Slowly, I lifted my eyes toward the door again. And I realized something I hadn't noticed before. The handle was gently turning. I took the night shift at a remote highway rest stop because it paid more and hardly anyone stopped there after midnight. My job was simple: clean the bathrooms, restock vending machines, and sit behind the small counter until morning. At 2:32 a.m., a single car pulled into the empty parking lot. That was unusual. Most drivers avoided this place at night because it sat miles away from the nearest town, surrounded by forest on both sides. I watched through the glass as the headlights turned off. But nobody got out. The car just sat there. I waited a few minutes, expecting the driver to come inside. Nothing happened. The parking lot lights flickered slightly in the cold air. The car remained still. I stepped outside and walked halfway across the lot. Hello. No response. The windows were dark, tinted. I couldn't see inside. I went back into the booth and called the highway patrol number we were told to use for suspicious activity. They said they'd send someone to check it out but warned it could take a while. I kept watching the car. After about 10 minutes, the driver's side door slowly opened. A man stepped out. He stood beside the car, not moving. Just staring toward the rest stop building. Even from a distance, something felt wrong. His posture was stiff. Unnatural. Like he was trying to remember how to stand. I waved. "Sir, you okay?" He didn't respond. Instead, he walked toward the forest beside the parking lot slowly. Without looking back. He disappeared between the trees. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I waited for him to come back. He didn't. 20 minutes passed. The car was still there, door slightly open. Engine off. Lights off. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside again. I approached the vehicle cautiously. "Sir." "Nothing." I shined the light inside the car. The driver's seat was empty. The back seats were empty. But the seat belt was still fastened. As if someone had been sitting there, but vanished without unbuckling. I took a step back, my heart racing. Then I heard it. Footsteps behind me. I turned around quickly, shining the flashlight toward the forest edge. Nobody was there. But I could clearly hear footsteps walking slowly across the gravel toward me. I couldn't see anyone. The sound came closer. Gravel crunching. Slow. Deliberate. I backed toward the building, never taking my eyes off the darkness. The footsteps stopped just outside the light. Then I heard breathing. Close. Right beside me. I ran inside and locked the door. When the patrol car finally arrived 40 minutes later, the strange car was gone. There were no tire marks in the gravel. And no footprints anywhere in the lot.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to Midnight Case File, like the video and share it with others because more mysteries await you.